Hi, my name is Emily, and this is my problem solution speech. School is a huge source of stress for countless numbers of students and staff everywhere. From working through social anxiety throughout the day to the pressure of getting good grades and studying, school is not an easy task whatsoever. Why add all the stress and workload with standardized testing, which is only used to measure academic achievement in schools? At the end of the day, all it does is create a lot of extra work and stress for students, teachers, and administrators. Without this extra form of testing, we could see the same results with an alternative approach. Standardized testing should not be issued in schools due to the negative effects it is having on its students. When talking about this issue, we will first look at how standardized tests do not accurately represent the skills and knowledge levels of the students being tested. Secondly, we will discuss how it leads to a lot of stress and anxiety. And finally, we will talk about solutions to the issue. First, we will discuss how it is an inaccurate representation of their knowledge. According to an article from St. Petersburg College, accessed on April 5th, 2022, standardized tests are inaccurate and do not show what the students actually know. In the article, Michelle Obama was quoted saying, "If my future were determined just by my performance on a standardized test, I would not be here, I guarantee you that." It also said that a Brookings Institution study found that 50% of year-over-year test score improvements were temporary. And leading up to standardized tests, teachers will overwhelm their students greatly with information to study, and ultimately this will just lead the students to binge studying and not retaining any of the information overall. According to an article from the Adams Kilt accessed on April 5th, 2022, tests don't accurately show the ability of the students due to the time limits involved. Standardized tests place the basis of a student's entire future on one 3 to 4 hour time period. We are better off by doing away with these tests altogether because they serve to create a drastic increase of anxiety to perform, and they lack in showing a student's full potential. Next, we will look at how this test involves so much stress and anxiety, and it just creates for an awful situation. According to the same article from the St. Petersburg College, accessed on April 5th, 2022 as well, stress is a huge factor in low test scores, and it will cause students to feel overwhelmed come test day. Many factors can lead to a test score drop, with the greatest being stress. Just the mere thought of taking an exam that could make or break a person's education for the following year stresses a student out completely. They understand that if they don't achieve an above-average score, they could lose their place in the honors program or drop down to a regular or even remedial course. When a student is under severe and chronic stress, they cannot perform their best. Standardized tests bring out anxiety in even the top students of the class. According to an article from the Harvard University Graduate School of Education, accessed on April 5th, 2022, a study suggested that changes in the hormone associated with stress during standardized testing hurts how students perform on the tests. On average, students had 15% more cortisol, which is the hormone, in their systems the homeroom period before taking a standardized test than they did without the high-stakes test. Students who showed the largest variations in cortisol between testing and non-testing weeks tended to perform worse on these tests than expected. Finally, we will look at solutions to this issue of standardized testing, including portfolio-based assessments and more frequent lower-stakes testing. According to an article from University of the People, The Education Revolution, accessed on April 5th, 2022, one solution to the issue is lower-stakes testing. When adding more text into the mix, it will translate into reducing the stress level, and by doing so, this will it will reduce the stakes of each test, and this will reduce the stress levels because the outcome won't mean as much to the students. It's not just all into one test. They can space it out over time. And with more frequent lower stakes testing, students can be tested upon completion of one unit or topic at a time, so it'll be fresh in their memory and they won't be tested on a million things at once. It will remove the stress factor from standardized testing. Frequent testing will also allow for the same amount of data to be collected with a more positive feedback from both the students and the teachers, and they won't feel as though these results are as life and death as they are with standardized testing. According to two articles from Otis.com and Education Week, accessed on April 5th, 2022, student progress can also be measured through portfolio-based assessments, which are how they are measured based on projects, papers, presentations, reports, all collected throughout their educational career. Rather than random test scores that don't often highlight the depth of the student learning, these online portfolios will be available for present teachers and future teachers so they can see these grades over time just as they would with standardized testing scores over the years. Students can select work of theirs that they feel proud of and they feel represents them as a learner, and they will write a standards-based reflection on it saying what they learned and why they chose it. And at the end of the year, they will set goals for the next school year, and the process will repeat. To conclude, standardized testing is a difficult and stress-inducing factor in schools that nobody wants to or should have to endure. It forces educators to pause their curriculums to teach for the test, and it overwhelms students dramatically. We can make standardized testing a thing of the past with simple solutions that both improve stress levels and encourage creativity, all while allowing students to choose how they want to reflect their educational abilities. Standardized testing should not be issued in schools because of these negative effects that it's having on students, including how it doesn't accurately reflect their knowledge level, and the time limit just adds a factor in there that shouldn't be a thing. We shouldn't test to see if they can do it in this amount of time. We just need to know if they can perform this task. It also causes a lot of stress and anxiety for everybody involved, and it shows in their scores overall. We looked at solutions too, including portfolio-based assessments and frequent lower stakes testing. It'll collect the same data without the hassle of standardized testing. We don't factor in stress, different levels of knowledge, and life challenges while we grade these tests, so why waste everyone's time with this big ordeal? Stop the stress, stop the pressure, and stop the chaos of standardized testing. Thank you.